Woman didn't show up to identify her attacker. So a mob of 4,000 people burned 100 black homes anyway. That's the Beaumont Race Riot of 1943, and it's a story America has almost completely erased. On June 15, 1943, a white woman in Beaumont, Texas, accused a black man of rape. Within hours, roughly 2,000 white shipyard workers learned of the accusation. Then another 2,000 joined them. Within the evening, a mob of 4,000 had formed. They marched on City Hall. They marched on the jail where black suspects were being held. But here's the critical detail they never teach you. The woman appeared and looked at the black prisoners. She couldn't identify anyone as her attacker. She couldn't point to a single face. She couldn't identify him, but the mob didn't care. According to documented accounts from the Texas Historical Society and the Smithsonian Institution, those 4,000 people broke into smaller groups and descended on black neighborhoods in central Beaumont. They carried hammers, they carried axes, they had guns, and they used all of them. More than 100 black homes were ransacked. Black-owned stores were set on fire. Black-owned restaurants were looted and burned. Bendy's Cafe, the Canton Cafe, Paradan's Radio and Sound Service, gone. According to eyewitness accounts preserved in East Texas historical archives, black citizens had their teeth smashed in, their jaws broken by mob violence. Over an accusation that could not be verified, at least 21 people were killed. Officially, it was 21. Some historians believe the actual number was higher. More than 200 people were arrested. Of those 200, only 29 were charged with anything. Only 29. The rest were released with no charges. No one was held responsible for the deaths. Not one person. But the real crime? The entire setting of the riot was constructed by systemic racism itself. According to the National Archives and historical records from the Library of Congress, Beaumont, Texas had exploded as a war boom town when the Pennsylvania shipyard ramped up production for World War II. Between 1940 and 1943, the city's population nearly doubled, from 59,000 to 80,000. President Franklin D. Roosevelt had issued Executive Order 8802 in 1941, prohibiting racial discrimination in defense industries. African Americans came to Beaumont seeking high-paying jobs, and they got them. Suddenly, black workers and white workers were competing for the same positions, making the same money, demanding the same respect. This threatened the racial hierarchy. This broke the unwritten rule of Jim Crow segregation. On the buses to the shipyard, fights broke out so frequently that separate buses had to be created, one for black workers, one for white workers. According to military records, a black military policeman named Charles J. Rico was shot 4 times and clubbed by Beaumont police because his knees allegedly touched the white section of a segregated bus. Food shortages were affecting the entire region because of wartime rationing. Tension was at a breaking point. Then someone added gasoline to the fire. The Ku Klux Klan had scheduled a regional convention in Beaumont for the exact same time the black community was preparing Juneteenth celebrations. And up to 20,000 Klansmen were expected to arrive in a city with 4,000 already enraged white workers. According to Regional Food Administration records documented by historians, officials warned Washington, D.C. that the situation was conducive to riot. It was, by every documented measure, a perfect storm. When the rape accusation came down on June 15th, it didn't spark the riot. It ignited something that was already combusting. Mayor George Gary called in 1,800 Texas National Guard members. He called in 100 state police. He called in 75 Texas Rangers. He implemented martial law. He imposed an 8:30 p.m. curfew. He blocked the roads out of the city to prevent more white mobs from arriving. He shut down buses, closed liquor stores, closed parks, and he barred black workers from even going to work. The victims were imprisoned in their homes, and the perpetrators were set free. By June 20th, 1943, martial law was lifted. Production at the Pennsylvania shipyard resumed, and that's when Beaumont, Texas decided to forget what happened. Local media didn't report it. Schools didn't teach it. Historians barely documented it. According to journalism records preserved at the Texas Historical Association, local media outlets refused to report on it because they didn't want to put the movers and shakers in a bad light. So they covered it up. This is what happened when economic progress threatened racial power. This is what happened when Black Americans demanded dignity while their country asked them to die for freedom overseas. 4,000 people can burn your home when the woman who accused someone of assaulting her can't even identify them. 4,000 people can destroy everything you built when the system says, forget about it. Beaumont, Texas, 1943. Remember that name. Remember that date. Because whenever someone tells you that racism was just a back then problem, that America has moved past it, remember that 21 people were killed over an unidentified accusation. Remember that 100 families lost their homes. Remember that not a single person was held accountable. Remember that a city covered it up. And remember that this happened while Black soldiers were fighting and dying for America overseas. This Black History Month, that's worth knowing. That's worth telling. That's worth refusing to forget.